I'm so bad at saving, too broke for rental. This cost of living is driving me mental. Wanna move out, get away from parentals. Don't forget to invest, I'm feeling stressed. Cause what if I can't retire? I'll probably just expire. Can someone give me an answer? And keep it simple. Keep it simple. Keep it simple.
Hey everyone, this week instead of one-on-one with Duan, we have two-on-one. It's getting worse and worse. Introducing two titans from Seedly Personal Finance Forum. So we have Hariz and Elijah. Guys, want to introduce yourselves?
Well, hi listeners. My name is Hariz and Elijah. I'm an independent financial advisor with Promised Land Independent. And yeah, like Duan said, quite active on the Seedly Personal Finance Forum. So I think I've been answering about questions on personal finance for around 1.5 years now. I think I have around 1,600 questions answered. But yeah, that's a little bit more about me. I love finance, and thank you for inviting me onto the podcast today, man.
Hello, I'm Elijah from Philips Securities, and like Hariz, I'm also on the Seedly Personal Finance Forums answering questions in my spare time. And yeah, we've been there for a year plus now, and yeah, probably also answered around 1,000 plus questions.
Insane.
Lost track actually, but well, I answer them when I can. And yeah, so also thank you to Duan today for the opportunity to share with our listeners here.
Mm-hmm.
So before we begin, we just want to highlight that this podcast is intended for just general knowledge only. It doesn't take into account any specific investment objectives, financial situation, or any particular needs of any particular person. So always remember to seek proper advice from a financial advisor before you take any action.
All right, perfect. That was just a disclaimer, lah.
Yeah,
we have to put it in.
Yeah, we have to. Well, yeah.
So today we're going to talk about the top 4 insurances that we think are very important. In our opinion at least. Imagine someone just coming out of the world and no dependents because they're going to get married like 30, kids maybe at 32, they are in their early 20s. What do you think they should prioritize? Maybe you can make it fun. Y'all have each of your
I
1
think
to
both
4.
of us agree on the very first one.
Yeah.
Hospitalization.
Definitely.
You cannot do without it. Yeah.
Because it's the biggest one. Accidents and illness does not discriminate. It can happen at any time.
Yes.
To anybody.
Correct.
Right? And usually it'll be one of the biggest expenditures.
Yes.
Right? Bills aren't cheap. Your doctors and medicine is not cheap.
It's not cheap.
Yeah. But one thing that I do want to add on to that, everybody does have MediShield Life. If you are Singaporean
Correct.
or Singaporean PR, the government has provided some basic form of hospitalization insurance. It covers you $100,000 per year. You can go to a B2 or C ward, which is a
Correct.
subsidized ward in a government hospital.
You do have a deductible and co-insurance though.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when we talk about hospitalization, we're talking about the integrated
That
shield
shield
plan,
plans, yeah.
which adds on to the MediShield Life.
Correct.
Provided by most of the private insurers and actually all the private
actually
insurers.
No,
7.
there's only
7.
7.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or we have a lot more insurers than 7.
Yeah.
Oh,
not
okay.
all of them do shield plans, but yeah, as Hariz was saying, everyone. Okay, I'm assuming that if you're Singaporean PR, you definitely have MediShield Life. But then you need to understand what does it cover and will that be enough?
Right.
And knowing what a typical bill is like, I can almost certainly say that you probably want a bit more. Yeah, you will want a bit more coverage.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think most people, thankfully I know, realize this. But it's surprising that I do know of some working adults, still young, 26, 27, and they get it relatively later.
Yeah.
Is that common? Something in yours?
Very.
Yeah, people my age have none.
Like for me, I'm no agent. But I do go around telling people health insurance
Yeah,
must.
number one, man.
Yeah,
It's
no
priority.
doubt. Yeah.
But it's quite common. I mean, the thing is, at least I know some people that can totally get away with MediShield Life if they are totally fine with staying in a subsidized ward. I mean, some of our elderly parents,
Yeah.
they may have already developed pre-existing conditions. They might not be able to buy insurance. They only have MediShield Life.
Correct.
Right.
And they are fine, right? But when you're younger, the premium is actually not that much more expensive, right? And the most important thing is you lock
healthy.
in your health.
You're healthy.
Definitely.
I mean, you could get away with your company paying for you, but one day you're not married to your company. One day you will retire, and when you retire, if you're not healthy, forget about getting
Yeah, you can't
anything.
buy.
You can't buy. No matter how much you want to throw
Yeah.
money at the insurer, they won't accept you.
Yeah.
And that'll be a case of too late.
Right. I'm gonna be devil's advocate here.
Sure.
Okay.
Because I'm on my second health insurance policy.
Okay.
Okay. You switched.
I switched. In fact, maybe it's a controversial switch because I was on the 0% free rider, everything.
The fully paid plans.
Fully paid plans.
Yeah.
But I switched to that I have to pay a 5% co-payment.
Yeah, no,
Right.
it's a good thing actually.
There's
Oh,
nothing wrong
really?
with that. There's
Do
nothing wrong
tell.
with that. Yeah.
No, I actually agree. So there was a big hoo-ha.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
some context, right?
Yeah.
So on March 8, 2018, MOH put out a circular telling people that, hey, all these old 100% coverage plans,
They can't be sold anymore.
yeah, you can't
Yeah.
buy them anymore, right? So all the insurers have to provide a 95% plan, as
That's
you
right.
mentioned.
Yes.
That's right.
See,
Yeah.
the thing is, when this came out, the insurers were the ones pushing for it. Why? Because the older 100% plans, they don't want it anymore because it was too expensive for them, right? Because
Patients
there
are going
is-
nuts.
The
ah.
claims.
Exactly. There was no
100% claims. For context, the audience, 100% claims means free medical.
Yeah,
Yeah,
everything.
everything.
Zero out of pocket. You go in, you go out, you don't have to pay a single cent.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
And there was problems with doctors overcharging you. There was problems with people anyhow just going to go checkups for this and that.
Yeah.
Right? So they didn't want these plans anymore. So when they offered the 95% plans, they offered that at a discount. At the same time, the older plans, they've been increasing the premium to price you out.
Yes.
So in fact, actually, if you are holding on to 100% plan, yes, it's good. but
Eventually.
however, eventually, it won't be
Someday
too
the
much.
price will be too much.
Yeah.
I've seen my premiums triple, by the way.
Oh.
I'm still on the 100%.
In
I
2
mean,
years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, in 2
Wow,
years.
wow, I didn't know that.
I won't say which insurer, but I see my premiums triple.
Good choice, me.
No, okay, for me at this point, I mean, I'm still okay, but if it continues at this rate, someday I will.
So you're still holding on to
I'm
100%?
still holding on to it. I look at the way it's increasing. I know that, yeah, they are trying to price me
They're trying to
out.
price you out.
And partly there's some aspect of the technicalities because there's no new pool, a client pool, so there's less people to share the load of the
Yeah.
insurance.
Yeah.
That too, right?
Correct.
That's
Correct.
another factor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a great point. But from context, there was two other reasons that I went up.
Okay.
So
What
one
is it
is
gone?
I have pre-existing illness.
Uh-huh.
I have high blood pressure.
Okay.
Should I say that? No. Everybody knows now. So there's only one insurer that I know of that covers high
Okay.
pre-existing.
We know already.
Yeah, we
So-
also know. We also know.
So that's where I went.
Understood.
That's where I went. So that was important to me.
Okay.
Mm.
The other reason was that when I first signed up, I think it's my fault. It's easy to go back and blame your first agent. But for me, when I think back, I remember free, don't need to pay for anything,
Yeah.
free. And the thing is because you don't have to pay any out of cash expenses while servicing this. You can pay with MediSave, most of the private plans. I don't even need to pay cash for this plan. It's free. It's at first, at least, only. But I realized when I went along and I looked at the premium table and I went for the best plan, the gold
Private
class,
ward,
private ward,
all that.
full
Pay,
beans.
yeah.
Yeah. And I looked at how much I'll be paying at 65 and
Yes.
70. I was horrified. I was like, I'm gonna be retired. Can I continue to service this?
Yeah.
Do you think that is fair? Or should I be thinking that? Because if you consider inflation, maybe actually it's a fair amount of money.
Okay.
You still maintaining. But I thought that if I'm retired, I don't want this burden.
Elijah, what do you think?
Okay, I have to admit the amount is actually quite ridiculous.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
If you ever done this, okay, I did some number crunching based on current policies, and if you want to sustain a fully paid plan from age 65 to 85, you got to set aside 6 figure in cash.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And that's provided the premium stay at this level.
That's today,
That's today. So
Today.
when you reach 65, what will the number be? I have no idea. Or maybe by then they'll phase everything out. I have no clue. But
Right.
yeah, admittedly, it's really, really not cheap. And sometimes if you are just going to go down to a copay plan which caps your maximum, nowadays all the copay plans have caps. 3,000. I think 3,000 is a small price to pay for a lower premium, frankly.
Some context I do want to add. So when we talk about insurance policies, of course, we are talking about health insurance
Yeah,
right now.
correct.
But just for the listeners to understand that most of your life insurance policies are what we call a level premium.
Yeah.
That means when you buy them, the premium doesn't change. Usually you lock it in. So for example, if
Yeah.
you buy right now it's 1,000, it'll probably be 1,000 until the end of the day, right? But with hospitalization plans, the one we're talking about right now, health insurance, they increase as you age. Usually
there's
by
no
an
lock-in.
age
In
band.
fact, they're actually yearly renewable.
Yeah, they're
so
yearly
every time
renewable.
they just increase it.
Oh,
Even you're in the
yearly
same
renewable.
age
That's the
band,
term.
Yes.
even you're in the same age band, they can just up your premium when
Yes.
you renew.
And you have no say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the thing
correct.
is, we are all in the same boat here. Agents aren't like affected by this. We are also affected by this.
We are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's the thing. My wife again. I'm gonna bring her in the picture. I talked to her. I'm like, are you sure? You know, do you look at the price? She's like, I'm fine with it. I want private. I respect that.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's your choice? Fine.
I have to stand up for your wife. I have clients, no matter what, they will never go to public hospital.
Oh.
I don't even think it's a matter of trust. I think they trust the quality of healthcare that Singapore provides, and I trust it as well. But speed is something that cannot be.
Cancer.
Yes.
That is one thing I
Heart
can
attack.
understand.
I've seen a
Yeah.
case where not my client of course, but I've seen a case where a husband found a little bit of a lump on the wife, and they wanted to opt. The government hospital actually told them like, we can do that next week, but the private hospital say you want to admit now,
Yeah, right now.
Oh.
Yeah,
and
it's
for
that
peace
fast.
of mind.
Right.
This is your wife we're talking about. You know, like do you want her to hang around one more week where something could develop, or do you just want to get
Aiyo,
it done?
touch
You know,
wood.
touch wood lah, but
Right,
you know,
yeah.
get it removed and check, and at least a
Yeah.
benign cyst or something. At least you feel relieved.
Yeah.
You spend one whole week in a state of flux and wondering what's happening.
So I think it's not wrong to still want to stick to the private hospital, the best plan available, even though it might cost you 6 figures in 20 years, from
Yes.
65 to 85,
Yes.
as long as you plan for it.
Right.
If
You
you
must
know
know what
you
you're
got-
paying
Yeah,
for.
you,
Exactly.
you got to know.
Yeah, and you have planned to incur this cost, then sure, by all means.
Right.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
If you walk in blind, you're like, oh, premiums increased, I didn't know, and I still want to stick with it.
Yeah.
How do I now afford it? That's bad planning.
Yeah.
I guess there's always the choice that because premiums increase anyway, you could swap out to a cheaper one later.
Yes, you can.
But the only worry is that you don't get pre-existing. Is that fair to say?
Some insurance,
Some
if you are
insurance-
downgrading, they would
yeah.
still cover.
Oh,
Upgrading
correct.
is always an issue.
Upgrading is always
Oh.
subject
Yeah.
to, because
I see.
their risk is higher.
Much higher.
They
Right.
you know, like if you have a government hospital, it's like 500,000 coverage, let's say.
Yeah.
Then you want to upgrade to a private, they now cover you for up to 1 million. There's an extra 500,000 that they need to think about, and definitely
Oh.
they'll need to underwrite you.
Right,
Yes.
right,
Yeah, so
right.
upgrading is always an issue.
Yeah. So actually, insurers love it when you downgrade because basically you've already paid for the benefit you're not using.
Right.
Yeah.
They already
Because if
locked
you
in
paid
the
it for 10
profits.
years,
Yeah,
Exactly.
So,
So now, go ahead, don't downgrade because there's no refund, nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But upgrading is always an issue.
correct.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we did health insurance very well, and some food for thought for people considering that.
Definitely.
So what's rank 2? Both of you agreed on health insurance.
Critical illness.
Oh, both same.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Critical illness is number 2.
Actually, these two are almost hand in hand, I
Yeah.
would say, for any
Mm.
working adult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because so let me explain maybe
Yeah,
some
yeah.
context with critical illness. It sounds like a very far-fetched thing, critical illness. What does that actually mean? Well, critical illness, you have your common, your cancer, heart attack, stroke, but it's actually much more than that. Comas, blindness, loss of sight, liver problems, lung problems,
Tons of things.
Tons of things.
Yeah.
So critical illness just means that you develop a condition that would usually mean that you will have to take some time away from work because you physically aren't able to perform at the same level,
Yep.
unable to travel as much anymore. Stress, medication, treatment is going to take a toll on you.
Or you just don't want to work and
Or you
take
just
it
don't
easy.
wanna work.
Yeah, you just
Yeah.
want to like.
Or your spouse won't
Yeah.
let you work.
Right.
Because I'm thinking not only just for myself. If my wife, my girlfriend, whoever, my
Mm.
mother, has critical illness and she wants to work, I'll tell her, no, come on, mommy, you need to
Stay
stop.
home.
Yeah,
Mm.
right. So
Right.
critical illness, again, as a context, is not something that pays your bills. So hospitalization, as we talked about,
It pays your bills.
bills.
Yes.
Critical illness is a policy, it's a lump sum payout to protect the loss of income due to
Mm.
you not being able to work. So Elijah, anything to add with
Well,
critical illness?
over and
why is it so
beyond the
important?
loss of income, you also need to understand that even your shield plans do not cover everything.
Correct.
So, for example, pre and post hospitalization on shield plan, how long is that? Up
Right.
to a year, 13 months, and most with one of the insurers. But the question is, if you are really down with something and you're taking 2-3 years off to recuperate, what happens to the bills in year 2 and 3?
Yeah.
Where do you find the money?
Mm.
Who's gonna pay?
Yeah.
But to be fair, shield plans do cover cancer outpatient treatment.
Yes,
right? Just
cancer,
for
yes,
the audience
but
to know.
there may be other stuff. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
What
The
they
thing is-
are, I don't really have anything offhand right now, but there will be stuff.
I'm
Because
sure
the thing
there
is,
is
a lot
stuff,
of
yeah.
these illnesses will be long-term chronic conditions.
Yes.
It is not something that you'll probably, because of a quality of our healthcare right now, there's a huge chance you would recover from it within 3 to 5 years.
Yes.
Our cancer survival rates have tripled since the 80s.
Right.
I think I was just reading a
just
study
reading it,
about
yeah.
it. All right. However, so the thing is, we know we're probably gonna survive, but how long is this gonna affect us? Will we also go back to work and earn the same amount of income
Income, yeah.
pre-illness? Because how much has your life changed? Because there are some illnesses that aren't as debilitating. So, for
Yes.
example, cancer, if it's an early stage, you find out earlier, you get it treated, and, it goes away, it goes into remission.
Probably a year of work at
Yeah.
most. Yeah.
And you're fine. You probably will be able to go back to work and all that.
Right.
But if, let's say, it's a stroke, or
Oh,
something,
that
a
could
heart
be
attack,
a more permanent
Yeah,
thing.
more
You
permanent.
survive, but you are incapacitated.
Exactly. The rest of your life changes.
Right. Right.
So that is definitely, something that you need to consider as well.
Yep.
Yeah. It's not everything you recover 3 to 5 years and everything goes back to normal.
That's right.
Sometimes it sticks with you for a very, very long time.
For life even.
Yeah.
Okay, I know listeners are only hearing this on audio, but I am showing a Facebook page of one of my dear friends. He's passed away from brain cancer this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
At what age?
33.
Oh, wow. Damn.
Much. Yeah. So it does happen. It does happen.
Yeah.
I like
So-
to. This is a bit of a segue, but I like to think of insurance this way. It's reverse lottery.
It's reverse toto, but you don't want to win this one.
You don't want. It's how to say. It's you don't want to buy too much toto.
Of
You
course,
want
yeah.
you want to have a bit of toto. But if it happens, it has a very outsized impact on you.
Yeah.
So
Correct.
it's good to be insured. It's probably a very dicky
It's-
analogy.
yeah.
Okay,
It's fine. A lot of people use that.
I'll put it this way. If you ever need a payout, that's the big check that comes to you. But before you can do that, you need to write the small checks to the insurer.
Yeah, that's quite true. Yeah.
Yeah, if not, they can't write the big check to you.
The thing is, hopefully, of course, you don't ever claim, and
I never
you
want to
you
claim.
die
Of course,
peacefully.
of
Yeah.
Nothing
Of
happens
course.
to you.
Correct.
But we don't know.
Yeah.
We don't play God. We can't tell if this is gonna happen to us. The thing is, if everything is known, then you can
Then-
live your life
Yeah,
perfectly,
correct.
right? People will buy insurance that one day before they get ill.
Yeah.
But that's not how it works.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, talking about critical illness, actually, personally, I've been looking at this, and I've been looking at the other alternative to critical illness, and maybe you guys can advise me. No,
What's the other alternative?
What have you been looking at?
Disability income insurance.
This one, I think we have different opinions.
No, I wouldn't say totally differing, but disability. Okay, the thing about
Also, first, can you guys help?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Context. What
Explain
is
to
disability?
our-
disability,
yeah.
basically, I would say, to be very simply for our listeners, is if you're not able to perform the material duties of your job due to some illness or accident or what, the disability income insurance will actually pay your previous salary up to a certain percent,
Yeah.
so that you don't actually suffer massive income loss.
Mm.
Okay, so that is the gist of disability
Up to
insurance.
retirement age, right?
This-
Usually.
But
Correct.
yeah,
This
there
is
are
also
some
a
T&Cs.
difference. Hold on. Just one difference between disability income and total and permanent disability.
Correct.
Because if, let's say, you have bought a policy before, you probably have seen TPD.
Yes.
That is a lump sum
Different one.
payout.
Correct.
Usually that is tied with your
Death.
life, your
Nah,
death cover.
death
Right.
cover,
So if you
correct.
bought $1 million death cover, you probably have $1 million TPD. Right.
Correct.
But
Disability is a monthly.
yes, so disability it pays you monthly, and again the definition here is the inability to perform the material duties of your occupation. So what does this mean, Elijah?
Well, if you ask me, okay, I'm just going to take the example of a surgeon.
Okay.
Okay, it's highly skilled job, right? If you lose a finger,
Mm.
can you still be a surgeon? It's not going to be easy. You probably couldn't, operate anymore. And we know surgeons make a lot.
Yes.
Okay, but that is based on their skill. And if you remove their ability to apply their skill to do what they normally do, they have failed to do the material duty of their job. But can they still be a consultant? Probably. But will they earn as much? Probably not. So due to such an incident of, let's say, you cannot be a surgeon anymore, you suffer a loss in income. So to prevent that, that is what disability income aims to actually help people achieve.
Then now I would because that's a very specialized job,
Yeah.
being a surgeon.
Correct.
What if I'm a desk-bound
You're desk-bound,
employee?
it may be a bit harder to classify materials duty of your job. Because losing a bunch of fingers doesn't mean it will hurt, of course, but, but it doesn't mean that you still can't do your job.
Correct.
Right? Maybe just a bit slower. If you're a secretary, you lost a finger, you still could be a secretary.
Yeah. In fact, right now with things like voice to text
Yeah.
typing, do you actually need your fingers to type anymore? I mean, you do need to type, but actually, because of technology,
Yeah.
you actually don't need to type. You can say, and then your computer will type for you. See, I personally don't like disability income as much as critical illness because the definitions aren't as clear.
I would say it's very grey.
Yeah, it's very great.
It's actually
Right.
quite
If,
grey
for
to me.
example, I'm talking about critical illness insurance, if let's say I'm talking about heart attack, what is a heart attack? You can clearly define what a heart attack is.
Death of heart muscle, blah blah blah,
Yeah.
all that. Yeah.
And then you have a heart attack. But the So if I cannot do my job, what does that actually mean?
What does
If I can
my
physically
job-
show up to work and sit down at my desk, can I do my job?
So what's the process? Is there a is there a doctor who will say like this guy can't do his job? Is that what's needed?
Well, someone has to certify that you
Yeah.
can't do
Yeah.
your job,
There has to be an
but then the insurer also needs to have their
They
own
can challenge with
staff
their
to
own doctor.
look at it, check, and say, yeah, okay, this one go ahead,
Yeah.
meets the definition.
So the only time that I personally would consider disability income is only for 3 scenarios.
You had 3, I remember.
Yeah, one is specialized skills. So
Surgeon.
this means that you're not easily replaceable. This is something that only you have, or a very small bunch of you have, and if you don't have this skill anymore, definitely you cannot do your job. That's one.
Yes.
Second, experience. If you have like 10, 15 years of experience, or you're in a management, senior leadership position, I would also say that disability income can play a part, because things like losing mental capacity would definitely, or you cannot perform in a high stress environment. These are things that could help you say that you cannot do your job anymore.
Or
Yep.
it can be mentally diagnosed to
Yes,
not
definitely.
be incapable.
Yes.
Correct? Any reason that you cannot do your job. But that's the
Right.
thing,
Yeah.
it's grey, you see.
Yeah.
So
it's-
that's
Your
but
job, what is
arguably
you-
that could be an advantage over critical illness.
Yes, there could be.
yes.
Yeah. And the last one is education. So if you're really very highly educated, again, that's not easily replaceable,
Correct.
and your job requires that level of education, then I would say maybe you can also consider disability income. So personally, I got my mother disability income because she's a senior manager. She's a senior marketing manager
Okay.
of a telemarketing team. The thing is, I am quite aware that for her to not be able to do her job, it's actually simple enough, for her to be unable to perform the material duties of her occupation. So she has critical illness, but I also added disability income for her. Yeah.
My
So
mom's
you
too
add-
old.
Oh yes, some context. I'd be like,
Yeah.
how old is Hariz's mom? My mom's very young. My mom's like 44.
My mom's
Wow.
my mom is 61. So but she's been a housewife, so yeah.
So that would only those 3 scenarios I feel that you would then really consider to have consider buying disability income. But I feel that it sounds bad, but if you're a regular desk-bound employee, you're sitting in an office, air-conditioned room,
The
and
insurers can screw you over.
then it's just more difficult. That I
Yeah.
feel that critical illness is something that would more likely
more
be something
ironclad
you can
to
that you can
claim.
claim from.
Yes.
Correct.
It's really, really very clear
Because you can't
cut.
fight what?
The
Right.
definition is there.
I understand.
Yeah.
Makes sense. I heard it's actually very hard to it's very it takes a lot to be underwritten for disability income as well, is it? Is that true?
Well,
So far I've never had that experience, but I do know there are some jobs that just cannot buy.
Oh,
So
Yeah.
like PE teacher, for example, just cannot
oh
buy.
really? Be
Yeah,
teacher?
Yeah, cannot buy.
How
Yeah.
high risk is
Too
Sorry,
high risk.
PE teachers.
Yeah, so it's more of like what your job does.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
interesting.
if the insurer feels that it's actually too easy to not do your job, then of course that's the higher risk, you see.
Yeah.
Then-
Unfortunately, I think
and-
I
You're not a
shouldn't
PE
get.
teacher, are you?
No, I
And
don't fit into
also
Hari's 3
disability income-
categories.
Sorry, you were saying?
I don't fit into Hari's 3 categories.
Very highly educated, lots of
Yeah.
experience. But I also know that disability income also have classes in terms of
Yes.
occupation. So
1 to
so
4,
if
I
you
think.
are you're class 3 or class 4, you might pay like double the price.
Oh,
You know,
Okay,
immediately
like,
you can
imagine
still
a
buy.
shipyard worker, something like
Yeah.
that,
Yes.
for example.
Lower at height and all that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, we covered number 2.
Yeah.
So what is
Debt coverage.
Right.
Yeah?
Right.
That's your
right.
number 3?
Yeah.
That's my number 3.
right?
It's something that you're gonna need
Definitely.
if you have liabilities, dependents. I think you wouldn't want your dependents to suddenly be left stranded if you're no longer around, right? Okay, I'm gonna talk about my boss.
Okay.
He's just became a father last year,
Alright.
right? And
Congratulations to your boss.
yeah, thank you. I'll convey that. Okay, but the thing is, you see, if something happens to him, what will happen to his kid? Yeah, so he's got to make sure that, touch wood lah, of course, if something happens to him, there's money for the kid.
That I believe, this is my own personal opinion, that I believe that you only need death coverage as long as you have financial dependence. Right? So again, as I mentioned just now, if
Kids,
somebody
wife.
misses you financially, then you need death coverage.
Correct.
There will be certain people that nobody misses you financially. Of course, people again they're gonna cry when you pass away. But if nobody misses you financially, you don't actually require death coverage. Let's say, for example, your parents are independent totally. You know, they settle their own retirement. They don't actually need you. You don't even give them allowance for some reason.
That's
You know,
Or
and
they're
you
not
ne-
dependent on your
they're not
allowance.
dependent on you,
Yeah.
and you never get married. You never get kids. You never buy a house. You only rent.
Right.
You know, then you
Yeah,
may not
you-
require death
It's
coverage.
I
not
mean-
absolutely compulsory.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my wife she's very independent. I don't have kids. I did buy some token life insurance for her, you know, in a sense, but it's really not for she's dependent on me.
Right.
So I also didn't place that too high. So I mean, if that train of thought, is it more likely or not someone would buy insurance around maybe early 30s, late 20s, and is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'd say that you're talking about death and TPD. You don't necessarily need it. As Hariz mentioned, if no one's gonna miss you financially, why do you need it? However, I know he likes to use this. You can prepone.
Yeah.
You can predict. You can see that in a few years time my
Right,
house is
I will
coming.
have
I'm
a
getting
kid.
married. Let's just get this settled now because I'm gonna need it anyway.
Mm.
And it's not just about settling earlier because it's cheaper, but actually what I worry more is your health.
Yeah.
A lot of things can happen between now and 30.
Right, pre-existing stuff.
Yes,
pops up.
correct.
Right.
And we were having coffee before this podcast, and I showed Hariz something, and he's like, "Are you serious?" I think Hariz will know. I mean, I have seen clients with enough pre-existing to fill up the entire page,
Oh.
like
Yeah.
when they want to elaborate on their condition, and you
Wow.
know.
If
and-
you've
and-
ever done a health questionnaire form,
Yeah.
you know like the amount of things you can declare for.
Yeah.
And if you really are filling up the whole page,
There's something.
It's
wrong.
Hariz saw it just now, and
it's
Wow.
scary, man.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, insurance is paid with cash. I get that, but you buy it with your health.
correct.
You don't have health. You can't buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It doesn't
yeah.
matter how much you
Uh,
want to throw at the insurer.
You're
They
Bill
just tell you,
Gates.
sorry,
Yeah.
we're not insuring you.
It's just it's an odds thing. Right.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't
So
make
correct.
sense.
So Elijah have used my word prepone your
Yes,
insurance
I know
policies.
you like.
So you don't postpone. Good. See, nobody understands this word. See.
Yeah, I just try to help
Oh,
you. Yeah.
prepone.
So you don't
Oh.
postpone, right? You
Yeah.
buy later. Prepone. You buy first, lah.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you
In
like.
anticipation of future liabilities and
Correct.
income.
Correct.
You buy first.
Wow, trademark.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Wait.
it's good.
I would like to add on one more last thing with death coverage. As we mentioned, you only need it as long as you have financial dependence.
Hmm.
This also means that it could also be something temporary. Because, for example, let's say I plan to get married and have kids. I plan to buy a house and take on a mortgage.
Yep.
By 65,
Right.
for example, or by 70 years old. My kid should be an adult.
Your
My
house
house should be fully paid out.
Yeah.
My spouse should already have a retirement planned out.
Mm.
Right?
Yes.
Would anybody still miss me financially? Maybe not.
Mm.
So-
Emotionally, yes.
Emotionally, yes.
But
So I
financially-
feel that it's a temporary thing because there will be a point of time you may not have any financial dependence. You may then have financial dependence, and then there will be a time after that you don't have any more financial dependence again. So
you
I
become a
feel-
dependent.
Yeah.
Even
Exactly.
possibly.
Right.
Yeah.
You become dependent on your kids, for example,
Yeah.
right? So
Mm.
I feel that death coverage is something that is only temporary. I feel again that something that maybe a term policy will be enough for death coverage.
Right.
I
Yes.
don't
So it's
personally think you-
modular in that sense.
Yes, I don't personally think you need death coverage for whole life.
Yeah.
Of course, if you want to, you
Wow.
can, but it's not something I do think is a necessity. I think death coverage good enough for a term, because there will be a period of time where there will be one day nobody is financially dependent on you, unless in some specific scenarios, if let's say you have children who maybe are special needs.
Oh,
You know, or
right,
your wife has
right.
then later
That's
fell
true.
ill
That
later
makes
in life,
sense.
then
Makes
maybe you
perfect
might
sense.
want coverage even after you're gone.
Mm.
But other than those very specific scenarios, I think temporary coverage is enough for death coverage.
That's what I also tell my clients.
Totally makes sense. So, yeah, these are the top three. Is there a four?
You can look at personal accident.
Yeah.
I think that's decent to have. It's not necessarily very expensive. Some of all the bumps and bruises and knocks that you get,
Outpatient
TCM,
treatments.
outpatient
Yeah.
treatments, chiropractor, whatnot, food poisoning
Yeah,
Yeah.
happens.
happens.
So
It's a
I am kind of anti PA plan. Personally,
Oh,
right?
really?
It's something that I feel okay. I mean, not saying that plan is bad. Of course, if you feel that you are like a klutz, you know,
Oh,
that-
yeah,
that you-
yeah,
yeah.
that you are
Like once-
accident prone,
Yeah.
Right.
definitely go ahead.
If you have the lifestyle.
Yeah, if you have the
maybe
lifestyle.
You ride a motorbike.
Correct,
if
exactly.
You ride a
Correct.
bicycle.
You know, so
You do a lot
for
of
example,
sports.
like
Yeah,
Rayming
sports.
from the Woke Salaryman,
Yeah,
he
yeah,
recently
yeah. I
put up
saw
a post
that, saw
where
that.
he bought $1 million in PA plans. So the thing is,
Yeah, I
I
read
see
that. I read
was
that.
wondering about that though.
Yeah,
Like,
I know his plan. Because he was asking me if he should downgrade. I was like, "You still riding a bike, right?" Say, "Yeah. Never mind, keep lah."
Keep
So
lah.
he got the highest. It by a particular insurance company. It's a general insurance product, and in fact, for his lifestyle, I understand. Would I recommend this to anybody else? Not really. So the reason why I'm anti-PA plan, I'm using air quotes here, I know you guys can't see, is because I feel that if you actually don't buy the PA plan, you save the money, and if let's say you do, go to a GP, you break your arm and all that, you would actually
Have the
use the
money.
same amount of money.
Oh, right. Never
Because
thought
let's
about
say
that.
a PA plan costs, let's say, for example, maybe 200 a year, maybe
Yeah.
300 a year,
Right.
So if let's say
Never thought about it that way.
so
That makes
does it mean I have to
sense.
claim once every 5 years to make my money worth it? Kinda.
Kinda.
So I feel that if you don't buy it, it's still okay. So I don't have a PA plan myself.
Okay, to be honest, I don't have one too, but I don't do much sports. But I have made. In fact, the most type of claims I've done. I've done so many PA claims, and I've seen it lah.
Yeah. And I have a friend. She got her PA plan from another advisor a long time ago. The thing is, she has claimed 5 times more than how much she's paid.
Wow.
And I'm like, wow, she's a lot of injuries.
Yeah.
And
I don't
I'm
know,
like,
is
okay,
that
lah,
a
for
good-
you, I
is
get
that a
it.
good thing?
I mean,
Maybe you
I'm
should
glad
start
she
walking
got
properly.
it. Maybe lah. And I'm like, you open your eyes or you are.
Seen it before.
Yeah.
You can buy a PA plan, $85 is the cheapest I know.
Yeah.
And then cycle and then fall off the bike by accident, sprain your wrist, $100 from TCM.
Yeah.
You got it back already.
Yeah. But I mean, again lah. So if let's say you are, you don't have that lifestyle, you're not that active, then it almost feels like you need to claim once every 5 to 7 years to even make it worth it. So that's personally why I don't get myself a personal accident plan. But there are two types of people I definitely say really consider, which will be babies and seniors, because babies are
Foot mouth.
All right.
other than hand-foot-mouth disease, they
That's one
fall
thing.
down all the time.
And once they start running, okay, as an infant maybe not, but once they start to
Personal
walk,
accident covers hand, foot, mouth.
Yes, hand-foot-mouth,
Yes, yes.
insect
Oh.
bites. But you fall down, you break your arm sometimes. Your
okay,
burns.
going back to my boss, his son is now 1 year old, and they're starting to look into a PA plan already. Because the first year he's just
You're just gonna
like
go
that.
doctor all the time.
He's just gonna
so-
drink milk and sleep. But once they start to walk and all that, all the bumps and bruises come in, you want a PA plan.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And the
Hariz
same
want
thing
to share about the
with,
elderly.
yeah, with the seniors as well, because you're more fragile.
That's
you
true.
know,
True.
broken
Falling
bones
in,
and stuff.
falling,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. And the good thing about PA plans is that most of them, at least up to a certain age, usually up to about 70, the premium's the same.
Yes.
Right, so the premium for a 20-year-old and the premium for maybe a 65-year-old on a PA plan should be around the same. I
Yep.
don't think there's
Oh,
that
wow.
big of an age band
Okay,
there.
that's amazing.
Only above maybe 75 for some plans, then
Yeah.
they allow you to buy further than that, and then it might be a different premium at that age.
Higher. for
Much
sure.
higher, definitely.
Much higher.
But actually, like if you're going to your golden generation, maybe up to 75, a PA plan is still pretty affordable.
Yeah.
And actually the chance of you claiming is much higher, and the claim also will be actually a lot more problematic as well, because the claim that you make really might affect the rest of your life. There are some additions where you can add home modifications to your PA plan. There are
Correct.
some things
Yeah,
that you
there
can
are some
add
of
there.
those.
You add a wheelchair ramp or like grips and all that. That could help as well. So maybe
Oh, they actually
babies,
can lower the premium if you included such things.
you increase your premium,
If you
but you can claim for these things.
Oh,
it's
I
modular.
see.
It's,
I
it's
see.
kind of like there's a basic plan, and then there are these add-ons. Do you want to add these add-ons? If you want to, it costs more.
Yeah.
But you can claim for other stuff
Yeah,
now.
so they might give you like
Yeah.
$5,000 to install home modification equipments in your house.
Correct.
Oh,
And then I feel that
interesting.
for somebody who is senior,
That's a good deal in the
it's a
sense
good,
It's a good
deal.
thing.
Yeah,
it's a good thing.
Right.
So these are the two
Interesting.
people that I would recommend. But
In fact, there are some PA plans out there that are actually specifically targeted towards the seniors.
yeah, there are senior PA plans.
Correct.
Yeah.
No
again, we're not-
seniors probably gonna listen.
Yeah. We're not gonna
But-
name
but
any
Yeah,
insurance
Good
no,
company.
for if listeners, you got parents,
Yeah,
grandparents
your
older.
actually.
Yeah,
I get that
perhaps
a lot. People in their
something.
20s who have parents coming into their 50s and 60s looking at these policies.
Correct.
In fact, one of our national insurers actually have a tie-up with the government to
Mm.
offer a Merdeka package. Again, not saying the insurer and the name of the plan, but this is like hints already for you to go check that out.
Yeah.
Merdeka plan, you heard it here. So I think seems like the the three heavy hitters: health, critical illness, and death. And I agree. How I think about it is that I invest for my own retirement, and I use all these, especially the heavy hitters. I think is critical illness and health, are the things that are going to keep me on track towards that journey when I self-invest. When I go in hospital, my investments are not untouched. If something happens to me before retirement, I have this critical illness to protect me.
And then you are still allowed to invest also.
And
Yeah, correct.
That journey is intact
Yeah.
until
Yes.
retirement,
You
and
don't
then
have
I
to
unlock
liquidate.
my investments, and I'm good.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it. And is that something you think?
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think both of us concur on this. The fact is, you don't want to end up having to liquidate at a loss if something happens to you because you didn't have a payout to cope with the financial difficulty. There is this saying, it's a Chinese saying, bad thing comes in threes, right? So you imagine in this current COVID situation, you got retrenched and then the market is crashing, and then you discover you have cancer.
Yeah.
Like, wow, if all these three things hit and you have no coverage,
Oh, yeah.
wow, what are you going to do? Sell your stocks at a loss. Ouch, that'd
Yeah.
be really painful.
Yeah.
I'd rather take the money given to me from the insurer and then just cope with the cost. And then while I'm waiting, the market slowly picks up again.
Yeah.
And I don't have to derail my retirement plans because of such a thing happening.
Yeah.
So this is a wrap for the first part with Hariz and Elijah. Sorry if this might be a bit abrupt, but this conversation that we had together went on for so long, like an hour and a half. So we decided to split it up into 2 episodes, and next week we'll be continuing with Elijah and Hariz to talk about common mistakes that beginners make with insurance, and of course, how do we avoid it? So stay tuned.